Hey everybody, Yogi here. I'm doing well. I hope you are doing well. Today's adventure brings us down to Menomonee Falls and Old Falls Village. This is the first year they're doing this. It is a Revolutionary War type, I guess, reenactment. So we are going to check it out. Road Trips with Yogi starts now. I have filmed this area before. I stopped by here once when it was snowing, or not snowing, but during winter, and just kind of walked around a little bit. I've never gone here during an event, so we are going to do that today. Here we go.
It's the sun.
Gotta stamp your hand.
Okay.
You got to remember that when we're talking about the armies of the Revolution, when the war started, there was no American army because the North American colonies were a British colony. The army of the colonies was the British army. So if people said, thought in their head, if I say imagine a soldier, you have a picture in your head. Just like we do today, they had a picture in their head, and that would be a red coat, because the red coats were the standard coat of the British Army in the 1770s. He is of a Scottish derivation, which you can tell because of his Scots bonnet, but otherwise his uniform is pretty typical of what you would have found on any British soldier in America. This is kind of the picture that people would have in their head of what a soldier looks like. So the red coat, and then there were several different colors of lapels, the facings, collar, cuff, lapels. In this case, white. They could also be blue or green or a couple of other colors. That would help tell you which regiment it was. They were numbered from number 1 through 90-something, I think, in the war. So the lower your number, the older your regiment is. This is a fairly new regiment that was pretty much formed to fight in the American Revolution, the 71st Regiment. You can tell the soldiers from the 71st by the red coat, the white facing, and the stripes on the tape around the buttonholes, which are a red stripe. And then if you got really close enough, you could see a number 71 stamped on the buttons. That would also tell you more, the number of the exact number of the regiment. This is the 4th Massachusetts Regiment, and you can see what they were outfitted with was a blue cloth, and they were managed to get white for their facing. They're both from the same regiment, the 4th Massachusetts, but they have 2 different color coats. Why is that? Our soldier on the left has in his left hand a musket. Our other soldier has a fife. And the fifers and drummers, there were both, were the message senders, the signal corps of the 18th century army. And so you needed to be able to find your drummers and fifers right away if you needed them. And so they wore coats that were the reverse color. So even though they don't have the same color coats on, these people are both in the same regiment, and actually if they turn around, you can see they've got a different style of canteen that actually has Massachusetts 4th Regiment on it, so that you can verify which regiment it is if you're not sure, when looking in your spotting guide to regiments of the Continental Army during the Revolution. This is another example of American uniform. You see a blue coat again, but this time red facing, a little bit shorter coat. He's got a variation in leg wear from what we've seen. The other soldiers had on spatterdashes or half gaiters, which was a black cloth covering for the ankles and the tops of the shoes. This is an all-in-one overall, which you sometimes call a gaiter trouser, which was something that both armies adopted kind of as the war went on, as a more practical thing than wearing knee breeches. He also has the standard haversack canteen. He's got his blanket, so much like our first soldier, ready to go on the march. But this is an example of the way that the British Army did in fact change its tactic, or change its uniforms and tactics and weaponry to adapt itself better to warfare in North America. So this is our 52nd Regiment of Foot Light Infantry Company.
6 flags here, the recognizable modern versions representing 6 nations who participated in the War for American Independence. From left to right, we've got Holland, Spain, France, Germany, Great Britain, and the United States. It's lunchtime. Oh, we're gonna... Just remember, this is what people had to work with back in the day. And now we all have nice stoves and microwave ovens, and this is what they had to work with. And I'm just wandering the grounds, looking to see if any of these buildings are open, but they're not. That's kind of a bummer. I mean, yep, you did pay an admission to come in here today, so it would have been nice to have these open. So again, a little disappointing. I don't know if you can see inside. Probably not. Would have been nice to have these open up. So, Old Falls Village, people who run it, you know, I guess if you're going to charge people to come here, make your buildings open. Follow in the footsteps of Pioneer Village.
Life expectancy, I guess you'd say, because I just replaced the last one about 2.5 months ago, and I'm just trying to figure out what all this is. Read the book a couple times. If I could go talk to the 1st or 3rd regiments, I'm going to find that surgeon. But anyway, the thing is that almost all the surgeons died of the diseases that were on the table. I mean, if they're conscious, they're coughing, wheezing, they're letting out blood that, you know, I mean, we all know about blood now after COVID and other things, HIV, I'm still holding all this stuff. But the thing is that after 18 to 20, 22 seconds, all of this has to go away. The tourniquet up here has to be loosened for 1, 2, or 3 seconds, depending on how large the person is, enough to have the blood flow through the wound. And then, you know, you've got pieces of cloth from, we were always tearing up clothing. You think you're going to get another set of clothes, you know, between April and October. But lint and sponge. You know, I've been everywhere on the east side of the Mississippi. This is from the Chesapeake, because I'm Virginia. You're standing in Virginia. It's probably Virginia territory way back when. But you'd take a piece of this off and you'd soak up some of it, or the lint, or a piece of cloth, and that takes another 3 or 4 or 5 seconds to get the blood out, and then start to put some of this back, but not all of it, some of it back together. Depends on the bleeding. Some of the bleeding, like this forceps, a person could hold this, you know, over.
And I guess here on the other side of this rope is where they will be doing the battlefield presentation later on this afternoon. It's another beautiful day. About 73, 74 degrees. Plentiful sunshine. We really haven't had terrible weather. No thunderstorms, no nothing. Other parts of the country, like in Texas and Oklahoma, Arkansas, Mississippi, they've been getting nailed this spring with severe weather. I kind of watch a couple of guys. Ryan Hall, y'all, I watch that channel. I also watch Vince Whaley. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. He's the storm chaser. Brett Arnold, another storm chaser. Reed Timmer.
Yep. Ready when you are. Ready. Still on the ground. Okay, so that was
Yes.
good.
Okay,
for real? For real.
So it comes off.
Ready?
Ready.
Some of them have like
Oh.
plug muskets or plug bayonets. So, but once you have that on, you absolutely couldn't fire.
Ready.
Oh.
Ready.
Oh, I see.
Okay, that was. Ready? This is your practice. Ready. Good. Oh, your foot came up. Keep your foot down. Now we're on. Ready.
Good job.
Good.
Good stick.
Syria is a lot larger than it looks, because a lot of it's congested and like to the front of the property. There's a lot of room in the back here too. That's a pretty big sleigh. Lots of firewood. You know, it's good to keep this history alive because, you know, it is a part of our history. Sounds pretty simple, but it is. There's a gentleman selling guns over here. Or not selling, if he's selling them, but he's showing them off.
Because you had a dam. Any place that had an armory or a grits mill, what did a grits mill need? They needed water. So you dam up a river, you get your water wheel going. That's what generates the power to run all your
steam wasn't
equipment.
until like 1830s
Yeah,
and 40s,
right.
right?
Talk about
And that's what
because a lot of those people
well,
who were under
How are you
Galvez's
today?
command would be
Good, how are you?
Good.
How's the pizza?
eligible for SA.
Spinning yarn. Yeah, that's not weaving. Sorry. What is she doing?
Spinning wool.
Needlepoint?
Something.
Yeah, see, unfortunately, none of the buildings are open.
Honest, I'm not trying to preach or anything. So that's basically north of that. Now I'm going to
Recruiting
see
notice.
that bench over there. See that little
Pennsylvania
sign
Rifle
that's
Battalion,
shining? Oh, okay.
Captain
Now, if I
Hendricks
take
Coy, all those who have
a line of bearing by looking through here and here,
interift
it's a 10.
are encouraged to join our ranks, speak with the recruiting officer for information. God save Congress and the colony of Pennsylvania.
Okay, now
I know every spoon and drop of blood in.
there's north.
Financially was not a big loss. They weren't making a ton of money up here. All the money was down in the Indies, the East Indies, whatnot, where, you know.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I'm kind of bummed out that the houses aren't open. It would have been nice to go on the, go check out some of the buildings. That's a little disappointing. Rivington Coffee House, 1771. This one-room schoolhouse was built in 1851 at a reported cost of $55. All 8 grades were taught by one teacher inside a wood-burning stove provided needed warmth, while water was pumped from an outdoor well. Initials and names from bygone days can be seen carved into the original dado or dado walls. But I don't think you can go in. So I will not be seeing the inside of that. Bummer. That guy's seen better days. Oh, there we go. Got the cannon.
Men would maneuver. Every colony had their own little private drill manuals, and for the first 2 years of the American Revolution, General Washington pretty much tried to keep the men using their own systems. But it got worse and it got worse. Here we have in front of you a mixed collection of soldiers from at least 4 different states. Every one of those states is using a different manual of arms for just moving the musket around on their body. They have a completely different system of moving the men in lines and in columns on the march. They have different rules over who's in charge of payment for the men. everything is up in the air, and more times than the Army cared to admit, they had lost opportunities for success that were ruined because a general misunderstood the orders or his sergeants misunderstood the orders.
Inspector General Baron de Steuben met with troops. He inspected them carefully. He insisted that they follow a certain pattern, and every day he made up what he was going to do the next day. The officers didn't entirely understand what they were supposed to do, and some of them, quite frankly, were worthless. Some of the sergeants really weren't doing the job that sergeants need to do. The Baron clarified all of this, sometimes personally, but often in his everyday orders. That was not a good wheel. What the Baron is doing is he's telling these soldiers that when you march, instead of marching by just long lines or just files of 1 or 2 men, you're going to march by sections of 4 men.
John would respond to me. My dearest devoted friend, you are not the first woman to give birth, and I doubt that you will be the last. Care for yourself, mind your health. I cannot attend you at this time. Please send cash. The next letter that I would write, oh, it would be of such great sadness. My dearest, devoted friend, I can scarcely take pen to paper. Last evening, I gave birth to a baby daughter. I have named her Elizabeth after my mother. The child was stillborn. We have laid her to rest with my dear mother and our little Susanna. My dearest devoted friend, I cannot bear this grief. The public does not care that my children are fatherless, that I am a widow in every sense of the word. They do not care for my children. My dearest devoted friend, please come home to me, to the farm. I am in need of you.
They've got the caboose open today. We're going to go inside. Oh, look at this. Very neat. Life in a caboose. What was a caboose used for? Specialized car in the rear of the freight train. Serve several functions. They were meant to be a place for the rear train crew to ride and a spot for conductors to do paperwork. After the addition of cupolas and later bay windows, they became lookout posts for watching moving train for mechanical problems. Unfortunately, they don't do cabooses anymore. Well, they even had a little sink in here. Notice there must have been a toilet. It's locked. It's not locked. Toilet. So that's what it's like on the inside of a caboose, folks. That's going to do it for this episode of Road Trips with Yogi from the Old Falls Village in Menomonee Falls, Wisconsin. The Revolutionary War reenactment weekend. Overall pretty neat, pretty good. The only problem I had again was the fact that the buildings weren't open. Probably should have been open so you could go in them. Please like, share, subscribe, and remember to click on that notification bell and select all so you can be informed when new episodes are uploaded. And www.patreon.com/roadtripswithyogi if you'd like to help support this channel that way. Until the next episode, folks, I am Yogi, and I am out of here.